So it is late February, 2026.
Yep, the transition period.
Right. And if you are sitting anywhere in North Texas right now, I mean, maybe you're driving down Highway 287 or just looking out your kitchen window, you know exactly what the world looks like out there today.
Oh, yeah. It's that very specific, very short-lived gray period.
Exactly. You've got that slate-colored sky that feels, I don't know, it just feels a little heavy.
A little oppressive almost.
Yeah. Maybe a little drizzle on the windshield. But and this is the important part, if you actually stop the car, if you get out and look at the ground, like really look at the dirt, you see it.
The green is starting to push through.
It is. The green's there.
It's the waking up. Honestly, it's my favorite time of year because it's so deceptive. I mean, it looks completely dormant to the casual observer, but there's just so much energy right under the surface getting ready to pop.
Right on the cusp. And usually, you know, when we talk about this specific time of year in the real estate world, we immediately default to the cliches.
The Hallmark card stuff.
Exactly. We talk about the quote-unquote spring market like it's the opening day of baseball. You hear spring cleaning, new beginnings, all of that. But, and I really want to get your read on this year, 2026, it just feels different to me. It feels loaded.
Loaded is the right word. Or maybe pressurized?
Pressurized. Yeah, I like that better, actually. Because if you look at the last 2 years, 2024, 2025, we have basically been telling the exact same story over and over again on this show.
High rates.
High rates.
No inventory.
Zero inventory. You've got buyers who are just completely stuck in apartments they hate. You've got sellers who are stuck in houses they have massively outgrown.
It's been a stalemate, a trench war where literally nobody moves an inch.
We've called it the frozen market.
Right. Internally, that's the term. The frozen market. Because the gears just stopped turning. Capital wasn't moving. Families weren't moving. It was pure economic stasis for 24 months.
But today, right now, I am looking at this stack of research on my desk for today's deep dive, and it genuinely feels like the thaw is finally here. The ice is cracking.
I agree completely. The indicators are flashing.
So our mission for this deep dive is pretty specific for the listener. We are going to unpack the North Texas real estate market, but we are going to get very, very granular. We are not doing the 30,000-foot view of the whole Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex today.
Yeah, that's too broad.
Way too broad. We are zooming in on a specific area that is rapidly becoming the new frontier, Jack County.
Jack County is the perfect laboratory for what is happening right now in the broader economy. It is exactly where the desire for space violently meets the reality of economics.
And to guide us through this complex little laboratory, we have a really fascinating mix of source material today. We obviously have the hard numbers, the MLS reports, the trend lines, but we also have the insights of a specific brokerage, Peet Realty. And specifically, we're looking at the philosophy and the background of David Peet.
And I am really, really glad we are including the biographical data on David Peet in this discussion today.
I knew you would be.
Well, because usually, right, when we do these deep dives, we just toss the agent bio aside. We treat it like the dust jacket on a novel. It's just marketing fluff. Let's get straight to the spreadsheets and the data.
Right. We want the meat.
Exactly. But in this specific market, and by that I mean rural, ranch, land, Jack County, specifically the biography is the data.
Say more about that.
You literally cannot separate the man's background from the market analysis. They are intertwined.
That is going to be a huge theme for us today. For you listening right now, we are going to connect the dots between macroeconomic trends like interest rates dropping below 6%, the deep psychology of the lock-in effect, and why knowing the fundamental difference between a British white cow and a Tennessee Walker horse might actually save you $50,000 or $100,000 on a land deal.
It sounds like a massive stretch when you say it out loud like that.
It does sound a little crazy.
It does. But I promise the listener, by the end of this deep dive, that connection will make perfect logical sense.
So if you are listening to this and you are our typical learner, maybe you're looking to buy your very first ranch and finally get out of the city. Or maybe you are on the other side. Maybe you're selling a legacy family home in Decatur and you're lying awake at night wondering if you missed the peak of the market.
Or maybe you're just fascinated by regional economics.
Right, just fascinated by how things work when the wind changes direction. If any of that is you, stick around, because the wind is definitely changing.
And it is bringing lower rates with it. Finally.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the guide himself, David Peet. I was reading through the source material, looking at the Peet Realty breakdown, and I honestly got stuck on the tagline right at the top of the page.
The real easy one.
Yeah. Real estate made real easy.
It's catchy. I mean, it rolls right off the tongue.
It is extremely catchy. But I want you to be totally honest with me here. You have looked at the data for years. You understand the industry inside and out.
Hmm?
Is real estate ever actually easy?
No.
I mean, I bought a house. It was a complete nightmare. I sold a house.
Yeah.
It was a migraine that lasted 45 days.
Absolutely not. It is never easy. And I think that is actually the subversive brilliance of a tagline exactly like that one.
Subversive how?
Well, it isn't a description of the inherent process. It is a promise of the service.
Ah.
Think about it. If real estate were naturally easy on its own, you wouldn't need a tagline promising to make it easy. You wouldn't even need agents. You would just Venmo some guy $500,000 on your phone and move your boxes in that afternoon.
Like buying a used couch on Craigslist. Here's the cash. I'll take the keys. Have a nice life.
Exactly. But real estate is friction. It is pure, unadulterated friction from start to finish. Just look at the layers. First, you have the financial friction.
Getting the loan.
Getting the loan. Can I even get approved? What are the points they're charging me? Is the appraisal going to come in low and blow up the whole deal? That's just layer one.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
Then you have the legal friction. Is the title actually clean? Are there librins from a contractor 10 years ago? Are there mineral rights issues? And let me tell you, especially out in Jack County, mineral rights are a huge, complex deal.
You know, I hadn't even thought about the mineral rights aspect. That's totally separated from the surface dirt sometimes.
Huge. It can derail a transaction in an afternoon. And then beyond financial and legal, you have the physical friction.
Need inspections.
Right. Is the foundation cracking? Is the septic system up to current code, or is it 50 years old? Is the well producing enough water? And then the biggest friction of all, which the source material specifically highlights and people always underestimate.
The emotional friction.
Massive emotional friction. The source material actually says this explicitly, quote, "The home you are buying or selling is a very important part of your life and livelihood," end quote.
Livelihood. That's a very specific word choice.
Note that word carefully. In Jack County, we aren't just talking about a bedroom community where you sleep and then commute to an office. We are talking about land.
We're talking about income.
Income, cattle, agricultural exemptions, legacies that get passed down to kids.
It's not just an asset class on a spreadsheet. It's where you raise your kids.
Restaurant.
Where you literally raise your calves.
Precisely. So when Peet Realty calls themselves a trusted partner, they are framing themselves as friction removers. That is the core value proposition.
That distinction makes a lot of sense. A salesperson tries to push a product on you. Here is the house. Sign here. Buy it. A partner manages the chaos behind the scenes.
The source notes there is, quote, "a lot going on," unquote, that the client shouldn't have to see. It's the classic analogy of a duck on a pond.
Calm on the surface.
Calm on the surface, but paddling like absolute hell underneath the water just to keep moving forward.
So the client gets the smooth ride. They get the real estate made real easy part. And the agent takes the beating underwater.
That is the literal job description of a good agent.
I want to pivot here to what I'm calling the cowboy credibility aspect.
Yeah.
Because this is where the deep dive gets really interesting for me on a personal level.
Let's do it.
I see a lot of real estate agents in Texas, and I'm sure you have seen this exactly the same way, who put on a brand new Stetson hat for their headshot. Maybe they lean against a rustic-looking fence post for their billboard.
Oh, yeah.
But then you find out they live in a high-rise condo in uptown Dallas, and they drive a pristine Prius that has never seen a gravel road.
All hat, no cattle. It is a Texas cliche for a very good reason. We see it constantly.
Literally all hat, no cattle.
Yeah.
But the bio for David Peet in our source material is fundamentally different. It is highly specific. It doesn't just give a vague, oh, he loves animals kind of statement. It mentions two very specific, very intentional breeds.
Tennessee Walker horses and British white cattle.
Right.
Details matter so much here. In this specific industry, specificity is credibility.
Let's break that down for the listener. Because I am not a rancher. Why does the source go out of its way to specify Tennessee Walkers and not just broadly say he rides horses?
Right.
I mean, to a city guy, a horse is a horse, right?
Definitely not. Not out there. Tennessee Walkers are what we call gated horses.
Gated.
Yes. They have a very specific running walk that is incredibly smooth for the rider. They are genetically built for covering rough ground comfortably over very long distances.
Okay.
And the bio specifically connects this breed to a physical place. It says they rode these horses on the North Texas LBJ Grasslands Trail System.
Yeah, I know of the LBJ Grasslands. It's up north of Decatur, right? I know it's a big area.
It is massive. It's over 20,000 acres of land. land. And I need to stress this, it is not a manicured, paved city park.
No water fountains on the trail.
None. It is rugged, beautiful, complex terrain. You have dense cross timbers, you have wide open prairie, you have deep ravines that wash out. If you are regularly riding that trail system, actually sitting in the saddle, navigating those trails for hours, you are seeing and feeling the land in a way that is physically impossible to experience from the cab of a truck doing 70 miles per hour on Highway 287.
So you are arguing that riding a horse out there isn't just a weekend hobby for him. It is active data collection.
100% it is data collection. Think about what you naturally learn when you spend that much time in the dirt.
You learn a lot about the dirt itself.
You learn soil composition intimately. Is this patch sandy loam? Is it hard clay? You learn drainage patterns. Where does the water sit for a week after a heavy spring rain? Where does it flash flood and wash out the trail completely?
That's huge for property values.
Huge. You also learn vegetation. What is actually growing out here? Is it native, nutritious grass for grazing, or is it just invasive weeds that look green but have no value?
And if you are a real estate agent trying to sell land in Jack County,
that tactile knowledge is currency. Look, if I am looking to buy a working ranch and my agent has only ever seen the property from Google Earth, or maybe they just drove down the paved county road and looked over the fence, they are missing 50% of the story.
at least 50%.
Someone who rides the land knows where the water table sits. They know where the severe erosion happens on a slope. That is what I mean by bio as resume. His hobby actively makes him a better, more accurate analyst of the physical asset.
That makes a ton of sense when you lay it out like that. It's tactile, lived knowledge. Now, what about the other half of that bio? The cattle. British whites. Now, I had to look this up before we started recording because, again, not a rancher. They are the solid white ones with the black ears and black noses, right?
Correct. They are an ancient heritage breed, very distinctive looking out in a pasture. But more importantly, for our context, they are known in the industry for being incredibly hardy.
Hardy meaning they survive tough weather.
Yes, tough weather, but they're also excellent foragers. They don't need highly managed feed all the time, and they are known for being very good mothers to their calves.
So what does the act of raising British whites actually signal to a potential real estate client reading this bio?
It immediately signals infrastructure knowledge.
Infrastructure. Okay, break that down.
You can't just go to an auction, buy a cow, bring it home, and put it in your suburban backyard.
Sadly, no.
You need to deeply understand fencing. And I don't just mean looking at a property and saying, oh, look, there is a fence. I mean evaluating, is this the right fence for the animal?
There are different kinds.
Many. Is it a 5-strand barbed wire fence? Is it smooth wire for horses so they don't tear themselves up? Is it a woven net wire fence meant to keep smaller predators out? You also need to understand grazing rotation.
Moving them around so they don't eat it down to dirt.
Right, so you don't overgraze and permanently kill your native grass. And perhaps most importantly, you need to understand stock tanks and water rights.
Water rights. That feels like the real key phrase right there in Texas.
In Texas, surface water and groundwater are sometimes more valuable than oil, depending on the year.
Truly.
If you walk a 60-acre property with David Peet, based on what this bio tells us, he is not just walking into the house and looking at the crown molding in the living room or the kitchen countertops.
He's looking out the back window.
He is walking the fence line. He is checking the stock pond levels. He is mentally calculating the carrying capacity of the land.
Meaning how many cows can actually live there.
Exactly. How many head of cattle can this specific dirt support without having to buy expensive supplemental hay all year round? That is the fundamental difference between a standard residential agent and a true land specialist.
It's the difference between an agent saying, hey, look at this pretty sunset view from the porch, and an agent saying, this land can realistically support 20 head of cattle, but looking at this draw, you're going to need to drill a brand new water well in about 5 years.
Exactly right. And for the buyer who is looking to, quote, spread out a little, unquote, which is the exact core demographic, our source material identifies that technical, boots-on-the-ground knowledge protects your life savings.
Because you could make a massive mistake.
You don't want to drop $1 million on a gorgeous ranchette in Jack County only to find out the soil is too sandy to actually grow grass for the horses you want to buy, or that the perimeter fence is meant for goats and won't hold a 2,000-pound bull.
You're just buying a massive money pit at that point.
You're buying a headache.
Yeah.
And going back to the beginning, a trusted partner prevents the headache.
Okay, let's talk more about that specific demographic you just mentioned. The spread out buyer. The source ties this urge directly to the geographic scope of Peet Realty. They point out they are based in Aubrey and Decatur. That's zip codes 76227 and 76234.
Right. And those specific towns represent what I call the gateway communities.
Gateway to where exactly?
To the west, to the real open country. If you pull up a map of North Texas in your mind, you have the incredible density of the Metroplex. Dallas, Fort Worth, the endless northern suburbs like Frisco, Plano, Prosper.
It just keeps growing.
It expands outward like a concrete blob. Aubrey and Decatur sit right on the leading edge of that blob.
The frontier line.
Yes. To the south and east of those towns, you have heavy traffic, shopping malls, extreme density. To the north and west, pushing out towards Jack County, you have open country.
So these towns act as a filter.
Precisely. People initially move to Decatur when they first decide they want to escape the city. But they still want the safety net, right? They still want a Starbucks or a Target within a 20-minute drive.
But now, looking at the data for early 2026, the source suggests these buyers are pushing even further out. They're pushing past Decatur, straight into Jack County. Why the shift?
Well, price is certainly part of it. As Decatur gets built up and much more expensive, budget-conscious people look to the next county over. That's standard real estate migration.
Drive until you qualify.
Exactly, but it is also a fundamental lifestyle shift. The source specifically mentions the city versus country dynamic. There is a deep fatigue setting in for a lot of folk.
And people are just tired.
They are exhausted. They want physical space. They want their own dirt. They want to be able to walk outside in the morning and not hear their neighbor flush the toilet or start their car.
That is a very specific and honestly a very relatable desire right now.
But, and this is the crucial transition to the macroeconomic section of our deep dive, they haven't been able to make that move.
The desire has been there, but the execution hasn't.
Right. The desire is peaking, but the financial ability has been completely paralyzed.
Because of the market.
Entirely because of the market conditions over the last 2 years.
Let's get deeply into that macro landscape right now.
Yeah.
We've clearly established the guy David Peet. We have established the location Jack County. Now we need to look very closely at the timing, because the source describes the current state of affairs here in February 2026 with one specific word: softness.
Which is really just a polite professional real estate euphemism for dead.
Painfully, agonizingly slow. The source breaks this softness down into a sort of three-legged stool of dysfunction that the whole market has been sitting on.
Let's hear them.
Pillar 1 is elevated interest rates. Pillar 2 is low inventory. And Pillar 3 is the lock-in effect.
Yes.
Now, I want to spend some real dedicated time unpacking the lock-in effect, because I feel like news anchors and financial bloggers use that term constantly in headlines, but they almost never actually sit down and do the hard math on what it means for a real family at the kitchen table.
It is, without a doubt, arguably the single most important economic concept of this entire decade so far. It has distorted absolutely everything in housing.
So explain it to me. Explain it like I'm 5. Or better yet, explain it like I am a highly frustrated homebuyer who has been desperately trying to move out to Jack County since 2024, but keeps getting outbid or priced out.
Okay, let's do the actual math. Let's build a scenario. Imagine you bought a decent house in the suburbs in 2020 or early 2021.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You're smart, or maybe just lucky. You timed the market perfectly during the pandemic drops. You secured a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage at, let's say, 2.8%.
The absolute glory days of borrowing.
It was basically free money. Now, let's say your loan amount at the time was $400,000. At a 2.8% interest rate, your principal and interest payment every month is roughly $1,640.
$1,640. Very affordable for a professional family.
Very comfortable. Now, fast forward the clock to early 2026. Today, you desperately want to move. Maybe you had another kid and need a bedroom. Maybe you just really want that 10 acres of land out in Jack County to breathe.
I'm ready for the country life.
So you look online and you find a property out in Jack County for the exact same price. $400,000.
Okay, a lateral move in terms of purchase price.
You aren't even upgrading the price tag. But today's interest rate is sitting at 7.5%.
Ouch. I know where this is going.
Let's look at the numbers. At 7.5%, that exact same $400,000 loan size now costs you roughly $2,800 a month in principal and interest.
Whoa. That is a staggering jump for the same amount of debt.
It is a $1,160 difference every single month. for 30 years.
Just to swap houses of the same value.
Just to move. That is nearly $14,000 a year in extra post-tax cash you have to come up with just to live in a different house that costs the exact same amount on paper.
So even if I look at my salary and say, yes, I can afford a $400,000 house price, I can't actually afford the money to buy it.
Exactly right. The cost of capital is too high. So what does a rational human being do in that scenario?
They stay put.
They stay put. You make the two kids share a small bedroom. You don't buy the dream ranch. You cancel the Zillow alerts. You are financially locked into your low rate. It acts exactly like a pair of golden handcuffs.
Golden handcuffs, that's a great visual.
And here's the macro effect. Because you refuse to sell your house, your perfectly good starter home never hits the market for the next family.
Right.
Because your house and millions of others like it aren't on the market, overall inventory stays artificially low.
And because inventory is low, prices stay high because there is absolutely nothing out there to buy.
It is a brutal, vicious cycle.
So we have had this massive standoff for years. Sellers absolutely will not sell because they love their low monthly payment too much. Buyers can't buy because the current payments are too high and there's no inventory to choose from anyway.
It is a completely frozen market. Or I should say, it was a frozen market.
And this brings us to the massive pivot point of this whole deep dive. The source material for late February 2026 highlights a very specific breaking trend. Rates are finally dropping, and the report mentions a highly specific number to watch. Under 6%.
The magic threshold.
Why 6% though? Is it just a nice, round, even number that looks good in a headline? I mean, why not 6.5? Why not wait for 5% flat?
It is all about psychological anchoring.
Explain that.
Well, back when rates were sitting at 3%, the idea of paying 6% sounded astronomically, offensively high. People scoffed at it.
It felt like highway robbery.
Right. But humans adapt. After grinding through 2 solid years of seeing rates hover around 7, 7.5, even touching 8%, suddenly a rate of 5.9% feels like a massive discount.
It feels like a Black Friday sale on a mortgage.
Exactly. The psychological gap between their locked-in rate of 3% and the new reality rate of 5.9% suddenly shrinks just enough to make the kitchen table math workable again.
It's not the perfect 3% they had, but it's a number they can finally swallow.
It becomes manageable.
So the golden handcuffs finally loosen up.
Correct. And our source makes a very specific, bold prediction right here. Quote, as rates drop, the market will heat up, unquote.
I mean, it sounds almost painfully obvious when you say it like that, but think about the actual physical mechanism of what happens next. It is not going to be a slow, polite trickle of houses coming on the market.
No, it's a dam break-in.
It's a flood.
And that is the massive risk for the buyer right now. This is absolutely crucial for our listeners to understand. We are dealing with 2 solid years of pent-up, frustrated demand.
People who have literally hated their living situation for 24 long months, but literally could not move.
They've been sitting on the sidelines, scrolling real estate apps every single night, just waiting. The absolute second they see a legitimate news headline saying mortgage rates hit 5.8% or rates drop to 5.75%, they're all going to rush the market simultaneously.
Everyone tries to fit through the door at the exact same time.
All at once. And if you are a seller sitting in Jack County, you have been waiting for this exact moment too. Because you know that buyers can finally mathematically afford your asking price.
So we could feasibly go from market softness, where a nice property sits idle for 90 days with 0 showings, to absolute market frenzy in the span of maybe 4 to 6 weeks this spring.
It can happen that fast. It has happened that fast before.
Which brings us directly back to Jack County. If this frenzy is truly starting right now, where should the smart money be looking? Our focus today is Jack County.
Jack County is the absolute sweet spot for this specific economic transition.
Why there, though? Why not just stick to the known quantities? Why not just move to Frisco or McKinney where all the development already is?
It goes right back to that spread out urge we discussed. Look, if you are finally going to break your lock-in, if you are finally going to give up your precious 3% rate and take on a brand new mortgage at 5.9%, you want it to be radically worth it.
You want a tangible upgrade in your quality of life.
You do not want to go through all that financial pain just to move from one crowded subdivision into another identical, slightly newer crowded subdivision.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
You want a paradigm shift.
You want a lifestyle change. Jack County offers the actual acreage. It offers the dark skies at night, the views, the authentic rural feel. But, and this is the kicker, it is still accessible enough to the Metroplex that you don't feel like you are living on the moon. It feels like a genuine escape without total isolation.
Now, we are not just guessing about this momentum. We have hard data backing this up. The source material references two heavy-hitter data documents, Trends 1 and Trends 2 from the regional MLS, and there's a fascinating little note in the source about the acronym for the data provider itself, NTREIS.
Ah, yes, the ultimate local
A
shibboleth.
source is hilariously specific here. It warns, quote, "Do not say the letters individually."
Oh, if you say according to the NTREIS report in a meeting, everyone in the room instantly knows you are a total rookie.
Or worse.
Or worse, an outsider from California who just got their Texas real estate license yesterday online.
How are you supposed to say it? Educate us.
It's pronounced net truss.
Netted truss, like the word mattress, but starting with an N.
Sort of, but with a hard rust sound at the end, like the word rust, but you drop the T, net truss.
Okay, net truss. Why does this tiny linguistic quirk even matter? I mean, it seems like such an insignificant detail in a multi-million-dollar transaction. Who actually cares how you pronounce a database acronym?
Real estate, at its core, is a deeply tribal business.
Tribal.
Very tribal, especially in Texas, and exponentially more so in rural Texas. Business trust out there is built on shared language and shared cultural understanding.
Okay, I see.
If you confidently walk into a small-town coffee shop in Jacksboro, or you stick your hand out to a third-generation rancher and you mispronounce the very name of the MLS system that holds all the local data, you instantly signal that you do not speak their language.
You out yourself as a tourist.
You signal incompetence. You signal that you are reading from a corporate manual, not actually living the life and doing the work.
It's exactly like the pronunciation of the local towns. The source explicitly mentions this hazard too.
Oh, absolutely. This is the quickest way to kill your credibility and kill a deal in North Texas. Try reading this town name. Montague.
Montague.
Wrong! You just lost the listing. Get out of my truck.
Seriously?
It is Montag. Like playing a game of tag. Montag.
Okay, Montag. Fair enough. What about this one? Bowie. Like David Bowie, the singer.
Nope. Never. It is Bowie, like the knife. Jim Bowie. If you walk in and say Bowie like the rock star, the locals will politely smile and then laugh you entirely out of the county the second you leave.
This connects directly back to the trusted partner theme we started the hour with. You absolutely need to guide someone exactly like David Peet who speaks the actual dialect of the market. Because honestly, if your agent can't even pronounce the name of the town the property's in, how on earth are they going to aggressively negotiate a complex mineral rights deal with the local title company?
The brutal truth is they aren't. They're going to get completely steamrolled by the locals. Local nuance is literal market power. When you pronounce it right, you are non-verbally saying, I belong here. I know the actual intrinsic value of this dirt. When you pronounce it wrong, you are saying, I am a tourist here. Please overcharge me for everything.
Okay, so we have firmly established the guide, which is David Peet. We've mapped out the massive market shift with rates dropping, and we've highlighted the location in Jack County. Now, I want to shift gears and get highly tactical for the listener.
Let's do it.
The source material has a dedicated section specifically aimed at sellers. It states very clearly, quote, "Getting your property ready now is a proactive step," unquote.
Now being late February.
Right. Before the grass fully greens up, before the famous Texas bluebonnets even pop up on the highway. My question is why? If we agree the market frenzy is going to hit in late April or May, why spend money prepping the house in freezing February?
Because of the herd mentality.
Herd.
We just talked about the dam breaking, right? The massive flood of inventory and buyers.
Right.
If every single seller in Jack County waits until the news announces rates hit 5.5% to start painting their living room or finally fixing their front gate, they are going to completely miss the crucial first wave of desperate buyers.
So it's a timing play.
You want to be fully listed, live on the MLS, with professional photos the very moment the buyers wake up from their 2-year hibernation.
You want to front-run the entire market.
Exactly. You want to be the shiny, available object. When inventory is technically still low, but demand is suddenly spiking through the roof, that is exactly when you get the fierce bidding wars.
Multiple offers.
That is when you get the over-asking, cash-heavy offers. If you wait lazily until June, when every other seller has finally listed their property, you are no longer special. You are just another commodity sitting on a crowded shelf.
But property prep costs real money, and it takes real time. And this leads into another specific service that Peet Realty highlights in the material, ROI analysis, return on investment.
Oh, this is so important. This is where the HGTV brain rot really genuinely hurts everyday people.
The flip-or-flop effect.
Totally. People watch a 30-minute show and think, well, if I spend $50,000 putting a custom swimming pool in the backyard, my house is automatically worth exactly $50,000 more in the market.
Is it not?
Almost never. In some rural markets, a pool might actually hurt your overall value because buyers look at it and just see endless expensive maintenance.
They see a chore, not a luxury.
Right. Or consider this. Maybe you decide to spend $30,000 on a massive, high-end chef's kitchen with a commercial range. But the comparable sales, the comps in your specific part of Jack County, simply do not support a luxury kitchen price point.
You over-improve for the neighborhood.
Exactly. You might only get $10,000 of value back at the closing table. You effectively just set $20,000 on fire because you guessed what buyers wanted.
That is a terrifying thought for a homeowner.
It happens every single day. The source clearly says you can ask Peet Realty for a professional ROI analysis before you start swinging a hammer. That is a critical safety net. You desperately need an expert to walk through your house and say, honestly, don't touch the kitchen.
Leave the vintage cabinets alone.
Right. The kitchen is perfectly fine for this specific price bracket, but you absolutely need to paint the barn out back.
Paint the barn. Now that is a very Jack County specific example.
It's incredibly real, though. Curb appeal out in the country is fundamentally different than curb appeal in a planned suburb.
How so?
In the suburbs, curb appeal is all about fresh mulch, colorful flower beds, maybe a painted front door. It's aesthetic. In the country, curb appeal is deeply functional. It's about structural integrity.
Function over form.
A trusted partner with that deep cowboy background we talked about. Remember the cattle knowledge? They know that a land buyer driving up to a property looks at a sagging, broken perimeter fence and immediately sees an expensive, urgent repair.
It's a red flag.
Huge red flag. But they look at a slightly dated master bathroom and just see a fun weekend project they can tackle later.
That is fascinating. So the broken barbed wire fence kills the entire deal way faster than the ugly pink tile in the shower.
Every single time. Because the broken fence implies the land itself hasn't been properly stewarded or cared for, it implies a hidden weakness in the overall infrastructure of the property. So the professional advice is always aggressively consult before you construct.
Measure twice, cut once, but applied directly to your wallet.
It applies to everything in this business.
Let's talk about the final negotiation phase, because the source uses a phrase to describe their approach that I really, really liked. Quote, Texas-friendly with a confident posture.
It is the classic iron fist and the velvet glove approach.
We definitely have this ingrained stereotype of Texas business culture being all backslapping, big smiles, and BBQ dinners. How's your mama doing? All that.
And honestly, it largely is. Personal relationships matter deeply here. You absolutely have to be Texas-friendly. If you come in abrasive or if you act too rigidly corporate and cold, people simply will not work with you.
They'll freeze you out.
They will ghost you completely. But the confident posture part means you know your underlying data. You know the net trust numbers ice cold.
You aren't just guessing at the listing price based on vibes.
Right. When a highly aggressive, lowball offer comes in from a buyer, you don't get angry. You don't take it personally or get emotional. You get highly analytical.
You pivot to the facts.
You smile and say, I really appreciate the offer, friend, but here's the hard data that shows exactly why this specific piece of land is worth X. Here are the recent comps. Here is the verified carrying capacity for the cattle. Here is the undeniable trend line of the market.
And that is exactly where the 10-plus years of local experience comes in. David Peet has actually seen the long cycles. He isn't panicking just because the overall market was a little soft last November.
Panic is the absolute enemy of profit in real estate.
That's a great line.
An experienced, battle-tested agent acts as an emotional buffer for the client. When the seller is inevitably freaking out because the house hasn't sold in the first week, the agent stays remarkably calm. They hold that confident posture. They know the spring market wave is coming. They know the interest rates are dropping. They hold the line so the client doesn't make a rash decision.
Okay, I want to take a moment and deeply synthesize all of this for our listeners. We have covered a massive amount of ground today. We have gone from the macroeconomics of the Federal Reserve down to the micro details of evaluating woven net wire fencing.
We covered the spectrum.
If I am sitting in North Texas right now, maybe eyeing a property in Jack County, What is my actionable checklist? What do I actually do the second this episode is down to get, this deep dive ends?
I've got a very clear 4-step action plan for you.
Hit me with it.
Step 1. Intimately know your own financial position. Pull up your current mortgage statement today. Are you currently locked in? If so, what is your exact pain point to move? Is a new rate of 5.9% low enough to make you pack boxes? Is it 5.5?
You have to do your own kitchen table math first.
Do not let the broader market dictate your personal family budget. Decide your threshold now.
Okay, step 2.
Watch the rates like a hawk. And I mean, really watch them daily. Don't just skim the sensational news headlines. Watch the actual 30-year fixed-rate national average.
And what are we looking for?
When you clearly see it dip under 6% and stay there for a week, know that the starting gun has officially fired. That is your undeniable signal that the macro lock-in effect is fundamentally breaking apart.
Good advice. And step 3.
Pick your partner, and I mean really, truly vet them. Go back to our whole conversation about the bio. Do not just lazily hire your cousin's friend who occasionally sells condos in downtown Dallas to help you buy a ranch in Jack County.
The bio as resume concept.
Ask them tough, highly specific questions. Have you ever personally sold agricultural land in Jack County? Do you know what the local soil type is here? Do you actually know the difference between a show horse and a rugged trail horse?
And if they look at you with a blank stare?
Run. Politely say thank you and run away. Go find someone with actual mud on their boots. Go find someone exactly like David Peet who lives the life they are selling.
Makes sense. And the final step, step 4.
Get a professional return on investment analysis before you renovate a single thing. Do not guess what the market wants. Call a professional and ask the most important question. What specifically makes my home worth more money today in this current market?
The source material puts it beautifully, summarizing this whole philosophy. The home you are buying or selling is a very important part of your life and livelihood.
It's everything.
Don't treat it like a simple retail transaction. Treat it like a major life transition.
And major transitions require experienced guides. You simply shouldn't walk that complex path entirely alone. The stakes are way too high.
Before we completely wrap up, I really want to recap the contact info for the listener because the source materials is very specific about the ask here. They want you to reach out early.
Right. Be proactive. Don't wait until you are totally desperate. Do not wait until you've somehow already bought the new house and you are sweating bullets carrying 2 massive mortgages because your old one won't sell.
Right. You can find these deep dive reports we've been referencing, the Trends 1 and Trends 2 data packages directly at peetrealty.com. That is spelled P-E-E-T, realty.com.
And if you want to talk to the man himself, the guy who actually rides the LBJ Grasslands trails, call David Peet directly. The phone number is 214-287-0009.
Or email at david@peetrealty.com. Or, and I just absolutely love this tiny detail, if you are keeping it properly rural and old school, you can send a physical letter to P.O. Box 1748, in Decatur, Texas.
I love that they proudly included the P.O. Box. It feels so right for this market. It strongly signals that they are a permanent part of the physical community, not just some slick digital storefront that could disappear tomorrow.
It grounds them. Now, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final kind of provocative thought to chew on.
Lay it on us.
We always hear the golden, unbreakable rule of real estate. Location, location, location.
It is the ultimate mantra. It's supposedly the only rule that truly matters.
Usually, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at late February 2026, looking at this highly specific, very weird convergence of the login effect getting ready to suddenly break while rates are dropping right under that 6% psychological barrier.
Yeah.
I seriously wonder if the rule is temporarily changed.
Changed to what?
I wonder if, right now, in this specific window, it is actually timing.
Oh, that is a somewhat dangerous thought to put out there, but looking at the data, you might actually be right.
Think about the mechanics of it. You can pick the absolute perfect location out in Jack County. You find the perfect sunset view, the absolute perfect sandy loam soil for your animals.
A dream property.
But if you hesitate and buy 3 months too late, when the market frenzy has fully, undeniably kicked in and overall prices are suddenly up 15 or 20% due to bidding wars, the perfect location didn't save you. The bad timing killed your budget.
Or look at it from the seller's perspective. If you sell too late, if you comfortably wait until July, when literally every other ranch in the county is finally on the market fighting for attention, you completely lose your leverage.
You lose that confident posture we talked about.
Exactly. You are begging for offers instead of choosing between them.
The window of maximum leverage is opening right now. The literal green shoots are coming up in the pasture today.
But those windows do not stay open forever. They slam shut fast.
That is the big thought I really want you to mull over this week. Is your market timing going to be as good as your physical location?
A very, very expensive question worth asking yourself.
Wait, hold on a second. I can't let you go quite yet.
What is it? What did we miss?
I'm looking down at my notes here, specifically my margin notes on the lock-in effects section, and I feel like we completely glossed over a massive, potentially catastrophic variable.
Nightmare variable.
Yeah, a real nightmare variable. We spent all this time talking about the lock-in effect breaking, right? We basically assumed that the second rates hit 5.9%. Normal people look at the math and say, okay, it's close enough, the math works, I am officially selling.
Right. We assumed rational, predictable market behavior based on historical trends.
But what if they don't?
Go on. Follow that thread.
What if the consumer psychology has permanently, fundamentally shifted? What if a homeowner looks at their 3% golden handcuff rate and says, you know what, you will have to pry this dirt cheap mortgage from my cold, dead hands? What if they realize that even at 5.9%, the monthly payment is still $1,000 more, and they just stubbornly, permanently refuse to move?
So the inventory just stays trapped.
Right. What if the inventory never comes back to normal levels? Ever?
That is the absolute nightmare scenario for the industry. Economists actually have a term for that. We call it the sticky inventory problem.
Sticky inventory. Because if it stays sticky, but the urban demand for Jack County just keeps ruthlessly rising because everyone desperately wants to leave the crowded city.
Then we aren't just looking at a hot spring market. We are looking at a permanent structural scarcity crisis.
Prices wouldn't just go up gradually, they would go vertical.
They would skyrocket. And in that specific brutal world, the actual role of the real estate agent changes completely, doesn't it?
Completely. You don't just need an agent to politely list a house on the MLS and wait for the phone to ring.
No, you need a dedicated headhunter. You need a private investigator.
You need someone who has the audacity to drive up a long dirt driveway, go knock on a rancher's heavy wooden door in Jack County, and say, listen, I know you aren't actively selling. I know you absolutely love your 3% interest rate.
Right.
But I have a highly motivated buyer with a pile of cash who deeply loves your specific British white cattle setup, and they're willing to pay an unbelievable premium that will make you instantly forget about your cheap mortgage rate.
You need an agent with deep pre-existing relationships. You absolutely cannot find that kind of off-market deal on an app like Zillow.
You can't just algorithm your way out of a scarcity crisis. You have to physically shake hands. You have to know the people behind the doors.
Which naturally brings us right back to the beginning, back to David Peet.
Full circle. The bio is the resume.
Something to seriously keep you up at night if you are hoping prices magically crash.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for listening to this deep dive. Check out those market reports online. And truly, make your move before this very specific window closes on you. We will see you next time.
Take care, everyone.